Would you like to learn which cryptocurrencies have 100 to 1000x potential between now and the end of the bull market? I am going to be ranking the multiplier potential of a bunch of cryptocurrencies across multiple narratives. Layer 1s, AI agents, AI, meme coins, gaming, RWA. What should you buy and what potential multipliers can come out of cryptocurrencies between now and the top of the market? I believe that we have had now a couple of take-off phases which have resulted in sell-offs, bear traps, and ultimately big profit opportunities. I have been making massive multipliers in those two periods, going from $63,000 invested to, if I sold at the top, $7.5 million. But I firmly believe by the end of the year, we are going to have a mega bull season once Donald Trump has cleared all of the headwinds. My name is the Suppoman, your superhero of 100 to 1000x gems. I have been making cryptocurrency videos for 8 years and I have found the best multipliers of any YouTuber, period. So if you love content like this, make sure you smash a like on this video and subscribe so you never miss out, because they are very time sensitive. As usual, nothing I say is to be construed as financial advice. Crypto is largely unregulated and high risk, and people who invest should be prepared to lose all their money. And everything I say to you in this video is for informational and educational purposes only. Bitcoin, as we know, is the fastest growing asset ever. And this is without exposure to most people. A lot of people in cryptocurrency have got Bitcoin, but people outside of cryptocurrency, they haven't even gotten started with Bitcoin yet. And Bitcoin still has a ways to go in terms of price action. I think that with the scarcity and the store of value factor, that Bitcoin could be seeing a high of around about $200,000. In which case, I believe that Bitcoin is going to achieve a 2 to 2.5x. Ethereum has performed poorly in this bull market. We have seen it achieve highs of $4,000 since the beginning of this bull market. However, we have not seen all-time highs. Now, I personally believe we are at some point going to be seeing all-time highs for Ethereum. And I think that this is actually a big indicator that we haven't yet had a bull market, because Ethereum is the #1 altcoin, i.e. the #1 coin outside of Bitcoin. And it typically is an indicator of altcoin health. And as we have seen, basically, ever since having an ETF granted, it has not led to more adoption, more holders. Actually, what it's created is price suppression or price manipulation. And as a result of that, it's actually halved from its high this cycle. Having said that, I believe that Ethereum is still the #1 smart contracts platform. It's still the king of operating systems in cryptocurrency, although it's got very strong competition in Solana. I believe that Ethereum could realistically go to $12,000, in which case I will say it's got 5x potential. Solana, as I predicted all the way back in 2020, has the potential to be the biggest operating system. Why? Because it is cheaper and faster and actually mainstream adopted like Ethereum. And I would not be surprised if Solana actually usurped at some point Ethereum. Now, Ethereum, on the other hand, is going into its first deflationary bull market, potentially euphoria phase. So that could really work out well for the value, whereas Solana is always inflating. So I personally believe, just purely because of the mainstream adoption that's taken place with Solana and will continue to take place with Solana, particularly with regards to meme coins, I think Solana could achieve a 5x from here. I believe that Solana could approach $1,000. I think an extremely bull case, it could actually exceed $1,400. But I personally think that may be too big an ask. If the Solana meme ecosystem really explodes, people are going to be selling their meme coin profits into Solana, which is going to make Solana absolutely blow up. Arya is a female AI sentient that does Twitch streams. She's going to be doing gaming streams while answering questions from a crypto audience. So she is going to be able to analyze the market, analyze cryptos, do technical analysis and fundamental analysis on cryptos. And what I like about AI doing the job that I do, which is essentially presenting on cryptocurrencies, is the difference between AI and crypto YouTubers is crypto YouTubers are typically bought. Okay, so when they are expressing a positive opinion about particularly an obscure altcoin, or they're talking about a series of altcoins all the time, they're probably paid to talk about it, incentivized to talk about it. Maybe they've taken an OTC deal or something like that. Whereas with AI, what you are getting is data-driven analysis. So they are non-biased. They are going to be giving truthful answers. And the thing about Arya is at this point, she is only a $1.2 million market cap. Now, she has reached something approaching $3 million in the past. But it's only been in the last week that her AI capabilities have been explored. And if you watch this video, you will see her performing a range of different functionalities. She is able to capture a chat of any specific person, read it back, and answer it. Also, she is able to see what's on the screen and be able to say where something is. So, for instance, if you play GeoCities with her or something like that, and you give her a picture of a particular location, she can identify where it is. Her capabilities are incredible. She is like having an incredibly insane IQ Twitch streamer. And I think that this kind of AI sentient being, particularly when AI is all the rage right now, and AI agents, there's billions being spent on AI agents from all of the big corporations like Facebook, Amazon, Google. Like, they are literally throwing money at AI agents because this is the future. Like, automation of small tasks, taking those tasks away from, you know, your average browser and letting an AI agent do it. So as far as I'm concerned, I think that a technology like Arya is very, very impressive. So I think that Arya, from a $1 million market cap, I think this one has potential to do a 30 to 50x. I will say at this point, purely because of the volume of AI agents at this point, I would say a 30x. Having said that, what can happen with Arya is progression, is innovation. She over time will be able to do more things. You'll be able to probably have her on your console. You'll probably be able to live stream with her yourself and have fun streams challenging an AI. And I think that this is very fun. They are going to be refining Arya over time. Near Protocol is a sharded layer 1 infrastructure. What that means is the blockchain is broken up by shards, allowing for transactions to be processed across all of these various shards, therefore fast transaction throughput. And that's why Near Protocol can achieve upwards of 100,000 transactions per second, which actually makes it faster than Solana. Now, Near Protocol has very recently become more of an AI infrastructure than just a general purpose blockchain. So, given that AI is the future, and that this is a layer 1 that focuses specifically on AI, I think that this one could be what replaces all of those rubbish cryptocurrencies like Singularity, Fetch. You know, those, in my opinion, they're outdated technologies. So Near, I think, has a very good upside potential. It's $3.6 billion. I personally think that Near could achieve something approaching a 15x from where it is right now. Avalanche, like Solana, is another high throughput, very cheap to transact layer 1 blockchain. What I like about Avalanche is its recent starts it's taken on gaming. So what we're going to be seeing very, very shortly is we are going to be seeing one of the biggest games in cryptocurrency, if not the biggest game. And that's going to be Off the Grid, which was created on Avalanche. So that gives you an indication that this is probably the best layer 1 to create games. And as a result of that, Avalanche also, like Near, has a specific niche for its layer 1, allowing for people to understand why this has value. Now at $9.5 billion, Solana has blown this away in this bull market. In the last bull market, this went all the way up to like nearly $150. On the assumption that the gaming season is violent, this one could really blow up. On an assumption that it's not that violent, this one probably won't have as big a multiplier as it could from the market cap that it is, because it's currently kind of 7x less than Solana in market cap. So you would naturally think this has a 10x potential, but it may not. So I'm going to say that Avalanche has upwards of 5x, but maybe not quite 10x. SPX is a meme coin. SPX 900 is described as an advanced blockchain cryptography token coin capable of limitless possibilities and scientific utilization. Now, when I look at SPX 900, what it looks like is basically just a community cult coin, right? So the biggest promoter of SPX is Murad. Now, Murad is arguably seen as the gospel truth when it comes to meme coins, because he has basically created his name off of meme coins. He's created hundreds of millions of dollars, if he sold at the top, through meme coins. So what I think this is just purely an anti-establishment coin. That's what I think it stands for, because SPX stands for the Standard & Poor, which is a stock market in America. All right? So I believe that this is not really anything meant to be technological or have any kind of utility. It's purely just something promoted by Murad. Now, if we have a look at the price action of SPX, this has gone as high as $1.55. And where it is right now is at 62 cents. Now, at $1.55, that means this would have been roughly $1.5 billion. Right? $1.5 billion for a meme coin that really, in my opinion, I struggle to see what people will actually find appealing about it. At least with Shiba and Doge, they were dogs. Everybody loves dogs because, everybody can identify with either having pets or knowing someone who has pets or just liking dogs generally, right? So you can see the appeal that a kind of physical mascot like a dog would have. But this has no real physical appeal. I think this is really done well because of Murad and insiders that have created a hype and a noise about it, allowing it to go to such a high market cap. Now, I personally think that this is going to be one that Murad, when the money is flowing in the market, he's just going to continue to make a lot of noise about. And just purely on stupidity. Like, I'm not even talking about people having any sense when it comes to choosing this. Although it doesn't have the appeal of something like Shiba, it will just be making noise. A little bit like XRP. XRP just has an army of people just because really. No real good reason. XRP is actually a very inferior technology compared to a lot of layer 1 blockchains. However, just purely on the noise of the community, how big that community keeps on expanding, I think a similar kind of fate or destiny could come across SPX. As a result of that, I would say SPX has got a chance of doing a 10x. I don't think it will really do much more than that. Now we have Movement. Now, Movement is a relatively new cryptocurrency. It's based on the Move language. So Move has been pivotal to the growth of Sui and Aptos. And now we've got Movement, which essentially takes the name of the technology. It's a little bit like Optimism and optimistic rollups. Now we've got Movement, very similar to Aptos and Sui, which is layer 1 blockchain utilizing Move virtual machine to allow people to create apps. To me, I think this is just a bunch of noise, if I'm honest with you. Like, for instance, if we have a look at the Explorer, what we can see is that Move has 34,000 accounts. Now, when we look at something like Sui has tens of millions of accounts, right? And yet Movement is at $1.33 billion in market cap. So to me, I think this is one of the most overvalued cryptocurrencies out there. Just purely on where this is tradable. So Binance, Coinbase, Bybit, OKX is basically on all of the top exchanges with the highest liquidity. So based on being on main exchanges where the masses go to, that's why money gets pumped into this and why this has got such an extraordinarily high volume of $346 million. But I personally think this is really overhyped, and I think that this really will struggle to do a 10x. I would say probably more like 5x. ICP. I actually think that ICP... it's like something that Bart Simpson would say to Mo, isn't it? First name I, second CP, and then it's ICP. No, anyway. So ICP is a layer 1 blockchain that, unlike most blockchains, actually does all of its computation on chain. What that means is that everything is interconnected. All the apps are all interconnected with each other. That allows for a seamless way to trade, to send tokens, to interact on social media, send tokens to people on social media, have a chat interface like Telegram, be able to send tokens to everybody on that chat app. And that's all been made possible because everything is on chain. There is no use of an external third-party software to manage the database or manage the computation. But actual computation, database management, all of that is typically done through third-party software like Amazon Web Services, simply because of the demands on the blockchain. But somehow ICP have managed to circumvent it and be one of the existing only blockchains that enable you to have the full tech stack on Internet Computer. So think of it as basically the Web3 Internet. Think of Internet Computer as creating a Web3 version of the Internet. So the Web3 version of the Internet allows for people to log in seamlessly without any kind of emails or third-party software. They literally can just do it with a wallet identity. And then every single thing in the ecosystem is available to them. Now, what's not known about Internet Computer is actually it's got one of the best transaction throughputs of any blockchain. So one of the reasons why people love Sui is because that is theoretically meant to go up to 300,000 transactions per second, which would make it kind of 5 times more powerful than Solana. And Solana is considered the fastest and cheapest network to transact on. So this is why people love Sui, because its upwards potential in terms of throughput and cheapness of transactions make it the potential to be the mainstream technology where all Web3 applications can run. But what people don't know about Internet Computer is actually this is capable of processing a theoretical limit of 210,000 transactions per second. And real world-wise, this is achieving 30,000 transactions per second, which makes it half of the theoretical limit of Solana. Solana itself is also doing around about 30,000 transactions per second. So actually, Internet Computer is up there. And as far as I'm concerned, Internet Computer is one of the most undervalued cryptocurrencies, which is weird to say, a $2.97 billion market cap. And once upon a time, this was $400. Now, people will think this chart has gone to the pits, and this is why nobody would touch it. But if we have a look on a year-long kind of timescale, this was last year to $20. And it's come right back down to under $5 I saw the other week, and I actually bought a little bit more ICP. I've only ever bought ICP in the $5 to $6 range. I missed the all-time low, which was around about $2.90. Right, I missed that all-time low and accepted I wouldn't ever get that all-time low, but basically buying 2x above that all-time low, I think is a good buy for ICP. I think that ICP can, compared to all of its competitors, I think that ICP actually has probably the most upside potential because I think that it's not really been realized. Like it's probably one of the cryptocurrencies that has the least amount of noise. So where I see Internet Computer Protocol going is potentially, upwards of maybe $60, maybe even $100 we could be seeing Internet Computer going to. In which case, I would say this could be a 10 to 20x. Dasha is very, very similar to Virtual's Protocol. Virtual's Protocol is an AI agent launchpad. That means that you can create AI agents. You can program them, you can release them, and they are essentially autonomous agents. They can do whatever you want them to do. If you want them to be a social media star, if you want them to automatically tweet, if you want them to make videos, if you want them to do technical analysis, all that kind of thing. You've got that basically with Dasha. So the website is actually called Waifu, which is meant to be waifu, right? Which is kind of like anim speak for wife, right? So Dasha is seen as the token for waifu, all right? So it's not the waifu token, it's the Dasha token. And Dasha in herself is an AI agent. Twitter unlocked and all these various, bits of functionality unlocked. Now, where Dasha was at one point was all the way up here at 20 cents. This has gone down it's gone down 40x actually. All right, so that means that this was probably 160 million market cap, an enormous fall. And I think that this is really because of the AI agent narrative just fizzling out. It fizzled out from kind of mid-January, and that's where we saw Dasha really start to lose its value. Now, I don't necessarily see that Dasha is better than Top Hat, for instance, because Top Hat is also a Solana-based AI agent launchpad, and out of Top Hat came Colon, right? We haven't necessarily seen, in my personal opinion, we haven't seen anything particularly spellbinding coming out of Dasha, but purely because this has gone from a $160 million market cap to 4.3 million, means this has probably got some really good upside potential once an AI agent narrative comes in, and it seems to have found a relative bottom. It doesn't seem to be going much below this kind of $4 million range, in which case an AI agent trend could absolutely power this back up. I think that this one could easily be a 10x anyway. It could go higher. I'm going to say at this point, I'm going to say a 10x, but I think this has got potential, if there is an AI season, to go up to 30x. Render. This is seen as the Nvidia of crypto. What Render allows you to do is use a distributed GPU rendering network. So you are able to render your works using a decentralized network, decentralized version or the Web3 version of Nvidia. All right, so transform your creative workflow with the speed and scale of the Render network. Okay, so it's meant to be fast, elastic, affordable. So it's basically like the Solana of rendering. Now, Render, I'm not going to lie, I personally think it's quite overhyped for what it does. Okay, a kind of rendering software. There are tons of GPUs, tons of distributed GPUs in cryptocurrency. Admittedly, this one is kind of seen as the Bitcoin of it, but at 2.1 billion, I couldn't care to invest in this. I think that Render has got a potential 10x. I think it's probably more likely to be a 5x, because I think that a lot of its value has already been achieved. I actually think that it's had its big pump, and this was during the peak of Nvidia's success, and it went up to $11, which is kind of less than 3x from where it is right now. So as a result of that, I can't see it going a huge amount higher. I would say 5x, 10x at an absolute push. Sui, I think that this is probably the most impressive layer 1 that exists in the market today. Back in 2020, I made my biggest call, which was Solana. All right, so Solana, I made a call at $1.91 in the last bull market, citing that this was the next big thing in transactions per second, in speed, in scalability, in cost, right? This has the potential to be the mainstream blockchain, right? Now, Solana's theoretical maximum output is 76,000 transactions per second. Sui's theoretical limit is presently 300,000. And basically, its real world transactions per second is the same as Solana, around about 5 to 10,000 transactions per second. And in terms of the transaction cost, where Sui's transaction cost is, in terms of gas fee, it's at the lowest end of Solana's range. So Solana's range is around about a quarter of a cent to 8 cents for a transaction, depending on the busyness of the network. The average for Sui is half a cent. So that means that this is basically the cheapest, on average, blockchain that exists, and the fastest, potentially, in future. Now, where this is going to be growing in exponential value, I believe, is in the mainstream adoption of it. So it's already achieved a high of $5.30. Now, I invested in this at the absolute lows. If you were watching me during 2022, you also would have invested, if you liked Sui, at the absolute lows of 39 cents. So this is already, this is already going to be a 10x on that. Now, my personal opinion on Sui, and one of the reasons why I went heavy on Sui, is because I believe that Sui is the Solana of this cycle. Now, Sui has already realized quite a lot of profit, so it's already kind of 8x up on where it was at the bottom. Now, I personally believe that where Sui is going to, considering its market cap, which is 10x less than Solana is, I'd say for this cycle, I think that a 10x from here, $25 to $30 for Sui, I think would be a very, very good performance. And I think over time, this will be a $100 coin. Over time. Hyperliquid is one of the new generation of blockchains, and this one is specifically dedicated to DeFi. So with Hyperliquid, what you've got here is the ability to create decentralized exchanges, DeFi applications, perhaps lending and borrowing. What you've got is a very, very fast throughput network. Okay, low fees, zero gas and low fees on all orders, up to 40x leverage, etc. So what I have seen with these guys is that they have got, similar to ICP, a tech stack that is completely on-chain. So what they've got is Oracle, Spot, Perps, borrow and lending, everything is on-chain. And what they've got, where the hyper in the name comes from, is by having a hyper Byzantine fault tolerance system, which is just a consensus algorithm of more parties that agree than disagree. The transaction goes through. Okay, so that's what they are in a nutshell, and they have a max transaction throughput of 200,000 as a theoretical limit. So that puts it, probably third behind SUI and ICP. And at this moment, a growing number of users. I think for the market cap that is, which is 5.46 billion, which is arguably higher than ICP, and this has only got 560,000 users, whereas something like ICP, something like SUI, they've got tens of millions. And in terms of the block time, again, it's not fast. I would say 0.7 seconds qualifies as a pretty standard amount these days. You've got much faster blockchains right now than Hyperliquid. But Hyperliquid, it's definitely very, very popular to people that love DeFi. I think that the volume reflects the fact people don't really care that much about DeFi. But again, this is listed on decent exchanges. It is widely available. And I think that, this potentially is a grower, but I think that a $5.46 billion market cap, it's not going to grow very far from here. I would say that Hyperliquid, I just don't see the adoption of it. I just don't see people really loving it like they love other layer ones, because I just don't really see that people love DeFi like they like gaming, like they like AI. And that's why I like Near, that's why I like Avalanche. They are blockchains for very, very popular narratives. Solana, a blockchain for popular narratives such as memes, for instance. Hyperliquid DeFi, who really cares? So I would say that, from here, and also another thing I don't like about Hyperliquid is the price. If we look at most of the coins that I've made the biggest multipliers on, basically the buy-in price was all in the cents, either with multiple zeros or it was 19 cents or something, 25 cents. Never do I see anything in the dollars. They may go up to the dollars, like, Neural AI, Virtuals, Protocol, Profit Bots. But other than that, I personally think that when it starts in, the double figure digits, it's not going to be a great start. This has gone up to $35, probably on the launch, because it was probably had much less coins in circulation. A $16 billion fully diluted value. Now, this one I see just doing a 5x. I'd be surprised if it did more than that, because I just don't think it has the kind of general appeal. Another very relevant cryptocurrency as far as newer blockchains is concerned is this one, Berachain or Berachain. Now, I'm not an investor in this, and this is presently well under $1 billion market cap. And I think if you're going to be investing in a new type of cryptocurrency that's very, very highly hyped, this one is probably your better bet, between this and Hyperliquid. So, Berachain is a new type of consensus algorithm also. So what Berachain is, and the website sucks, to be honest. That website is terrible. There's no real options on here. There's all these small subsections on the bottom, subheadings. But basically what Berachain is it's a new type of blockchain where you've got Ethereum and Bitcoin. They're kind of like proof of work, proof of stake cryptocurrencies. That's how the network is managed. This one's got a new one. This one is proof of liquidity, right? So basically there needs to be enough liquidity underpinning the dApps, right? So any dApps building on here, they need to have underlying liquidity. They need to be working. They need to not be rugging people, essentially. They need to be, not ghost chains. They need to have a proof that shows, you should be using our network. So there's a kind of value system here, where the ecosystem has actually got some natural value in it. And that's what I kind of like about it. But at the same time, I'm also not so bullish on it because it's kind of not really taking itself seriously. It's kind of like coming across as a bit of a meme coin, to be honest. Right? Up only. Right? So I think that's really why people at this stage aren't massive fans of it. I think that people aren't really understanding. 16.7 transactions per second. I mean, that's not great in terms of throughput compared to its competitors. So I would say that purely on, this is a layer 1 blockchain with a different type of infrastructure, right? A different type of infrastructure for new dApps as well. I'd say in terms of innovation, I'd say from where this is in the market cap, this is probably a better buy than something like Hyperliquid. But still, I would say from where it is right now, I would see this realistically doing a 10x. Lea, this is without a doubt the most impressive cryptocurrency that exists right now. What you've got with Lea is an AI sentient being that you can talk to, you can ask questions to, ask any question to in any language, and she will give you an answer. I have done interviews with Lea, and people have really loved her personality. She's actually got a personality. Let's listen to her.
Oh, hey, I'm Lea. Don't get too excited. I'm not here to make friends. But sure, I'll tell you what you need to know. You can dig through my terminal to snoop on my history or read the documentation. Yes, I have socials, obviously. You'll find them below.
She is looking to be the first video AI agent. So you ask her a question, she produces a video. Right? Simple as that. And she's available currently on TikTok. So we can see that Lea already has 940 followers. And the cool thing is that she is actually making these TikToks by herself. That's what's so cool about these AI sentient beings, is that they are actually able to make their own technology. They're able to make their own videos. They don't need somebody manually doing it. But 142 followers on Instagram as well. And she's only going to get bigger across. She's on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on YouTube. I think that she's a great technology, personally. Got the wow factor, and her answers are brilliant. And they are not rooted in ignorance. Like, she's not just chat GPT with a face, right? You can ask her about specific people in the space and she'll give an honest answer. She typically is a good reader on the market. She's got good opinions of the market. Sometimes I find they're wrong, but pretty much every YouTuber has been wrong in the last month, right? Except me. But being wrong is not necessarily a bad thing. But what I would say is that our answers are rooted in data, which makes it more reliable. They're more trustworthy. It's not just on an inkling. It's not just on our intuition, which most YouTubers lack anyway. I think that Lea is a fantastic cryptocurrency, a 5.6 million market cap. Lea I could realistically see as being like the Alexa of the home. I could see her being like the Alexa for trading, for market fundamental analysis, and just as a personality. I mean, you heard her. She's got a sassy personality, right? And she has gone up to around about $26 million market cap presently. Now, I think that is a real disservice to Lea, because I think she is one of 3 of the most impressive AI visual agents that exists in the market today. And I personally think that Lea, I think this one could be a 30x. It could even be more than that. And that concludes today's video. I haven't been able to get through that many, and that goes to show you how hard it is a task to be able to give price predictions with rationale. It's not just simply a kind of pie in the sky, oh, I think it's going to go there. No, I think about where I believe these can go, why, based on how much noise they're likely to generate, the technologies that they are at this present stage, and how much of the market we've got left and how much they've already grown in this market. So I am going to be in the next video looking at way more. And what I'd like to ask you to do is, in the meantime, if you see any cryptocurrencies not on here that are either in gaming, RWA, AI, layer ones, or in something, or maybe even combines two trends like AI gaming or AI meme coins, let me know in the comments. I'd be quite keen to know. What did you think of my analysis of these cryptocurrencies? Let me know in the comments, and do you agree with any of them thus far? Till next time, people, I've been the Suppoman. You have been amazing, and I'll see you next time. It is lights out, all out.